I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is the minute police are investigating a nasty car crash in Richmond. Our chopper was over it, and it looks like this car slammed into a tree and split in half. This is near Florida Avenue and Carson Boulevard. We'll bring you more information as we get it in. A suspect is in custody after a car crash near the Oakland Coliseum. The suspect smashed into a pylon supporting the BART airport extension last night. It all happened after a pursuit that involved Fremont police. It's unclear why they were initially chasing that suspect. The long-delayed commercial crab season is finally set to open January 18th. Fishermen can go out to catch crab from Sonoma-Mendocino County line all the way to the U.S.-Mexico border. But there's a catch. Fishermen can only put out 50% of their traps for now. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 p.m. on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12.
It's Friday, and here in the Bay Area, we're dealing with dry conditions to kick off this weekend, but it's going to change really fast as we head into the next couple days. Tonight, heading into the early morning hours tomorrow, these partly cloudy skies that we have right now and these light winds, it's going to get a lot breezier as we have a cold front move its way in, bringing us light showers in the early morning hours and some heavier rain into the afternoon hours. This is around 3 o'clock. We catch a little bit of a break before we gear up for more heavy rain moving its way in into those late evening hours for Saturday. Luckily, we dry up fast as we head into Sunday, but that exact same system that's bringing in all that rain for our forecast tomorrow, it's also bringing in plenty of snow for our friends up in the Sierra Tahoe area, and that's going to last all throughout our Saturday forecast heading into those overnight hours too. They could see anywhere up to around 1 to 2 feet of snow up in those regions. And it's worth mentioning, if you are thinking of heading up there for the long weekend, they are under a winter storm warning until Sunday, actually, at 4 a.m. So lots to talk about when it comes to the Sierra region. But back here in the Bay, our local areas, we're just dealing with 50s today, tomorrow, heading into this weekend, despite the rain that's moving its way in tomorrow. We're going to dry up as we head into Sunday, and we're left with cool temperatures as we kick off next work week. Let's actually talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to put the map down, and I'm going to show you the next 7 days. As we head into the next 7 days, we're not done with the rain just yet. Yes, we have it tomorrow, and then it dies down, but we gear up for more rain as we head into mid-next week, as early as Wednesday, with 60s in the forecast at that point. Let me drop our inland forecast and show you what it's looking like along the bay. For our friends who live near Daly City, San Francisco, or even across the Bay Bridge over into Oakland, we're going to see 50s holding on tight to early next week. Foggier conditions around the corner as we gear up for more rain by mid-next week.
Well, more snow is expected in the Sierra this evening following a pair of avalanches at Palisades, Tahoe. That ski resort says the second avalanche happened around 12:30 p.m. yesterday near Wolverine Bowl on the Alpine Meadow side of the mountain. It comes after a first avalanche killed a Bay Area man on Wednesday. Craig Hamilton saw the second avalanche and says it is a warning if you plan to go to the Sierra this weekend.
I look over there and there's a whole new, much bigger, deeper debris pile running the whole length of the bowl. I had just skied that run half an hour before, and we had just been there, and it could have been us, and we could have been buried in that pile, and it was deep and big. So it's a wake-up call.
And those booms that you heard just there belong to avalanche control trying to trigger loose snow off the hillsides. These mitigation efforts ramped up as resorts expect many visitors this holiday weekend. But what happens when there is an avalanche? Our Kelsey Thorne teamed up with first responders to find out how they prepare.
Whenever an avalanche happens here in the Lake Tahoe area, multiple agencies respond and they work together to rescue victims and secure the scene. We spoke with the guys here at North Lake Tahoe Fire about how it all works.
This is a backpack that you should carry in backcountry at least minimum. It carries a shovel and a probe as well. It also has an airbag.
This is just some of the gear firefighters pack with them when responding to an avalanche. Russell Barnum is the assistant fire chief of the North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District. He says most all firefighters in the area are trained in avalanche rescue.
So we have a lot of different ways to get back to the patient. A lot of the times we'll use snowshoes. It all depends.
Barnum says whenever an incident occurs, multiple agencies respond and work in coordination at the scene.
Washoe County Search and Rescue and the other search and rescues around the Tahoe Basin are mostly responsible for going into the backcountry and effecting the rescue. Our job is to, build a command structure so that they can be facilitated in the things that they need, whether it's equipment, personnel, transport to the hospital.
Overall, Barnum says avalanches are rare, and when they do happen, they usually occur in the backcountry, not at a ski resort.
The ski patrols do a lot to mitigate avalanche danger. They use hand charges, they ski cut, they go in and evaluate. There's a lot of different ways to mitigate avalanches inside the ski area. In the backcountry, that's not available.
Barnum says no matter the incident, the crews out here are prepared. They're not only skilled at their jobs, but have a family-like relationship with every agency in the region.
You know the person next to you, even the ski patrollers, we know one another. And it's great to know that the person that is next to you that you can trust, that's going to be competent and also be safe.
And the guys say that really is the special thing about the Lake Tahoe area here. All of these agencies are so used to working together. They do it constantly. They keep in constant communication and are always ready to jump in whenever there's an emergency situation.
And viewer Stuart Bloom emailed us asking what to do if you're caught up in an avalanche. That's a good question. Experts say try to swim through rushing snow, stay on top, keep one arm up, and if you can, ski with an avalanche receiver that transmits a call for help. Also, before you go up, keep up with the forecast and avoid skiing alone. And here's a look at the traffic along I-80. This is at Kingvale. Caltrans has lifted chain controls along I-80 heading to the Sierra for now. The CHP is reminding drivers one key to being safe on the roads is to be prepared and to slow down.
You need to make sure that you are slowing down, paying extra attention to the road conditions, and also making sure that your vehicle is ready to drive in those conditions, making sure that you have the appropriate tires, making sure that your windshield wipers are good, you have windshield washer fluid, your defrosters work. I mean, all of that information, all of those pieces are incredibly important.
And we'll continue to monitor any new developments out of Tahoe. Head to kpix.com anytime for the latest information. Well, a massive blizzard is impacting the Midwest. Weather experts say several states will be covered in more than a foot of snow over the next few days. A powerful storm system is hitting the East Coast as well, and it's impacting travelers here in the Bay Area. Today, there are also a handful of cancellations, delays at Oakland International and San Jose Mineta. BART says the section of track where a train ran off the rails on the New Year's Day had recently been replaced, and that has likely helped to minimize the damage. A network failure outside of Orinda meant BART could not remotely control the interlocking, and a BART operator had to manually align the route, but it didn't go as planned, sending 2 cars off the tracks. Meantime, BART is expanding its fight against fare evasion. The transit agency says a new batch of fare gates will be installed at more stations across the Bay Area. They are supposed to prevent people from hopping over, pushing through, and not paying. Rashawn Chitness is at the Montgomery BART station with details.
BART says it's ready to expand the new gate to many more locations. They started testing it late last year in West Oakland. If you take a look over here, you'll see what the classic look is, and this is what you have seen at most BART stations for quite some time. Well, the new gate is going to be more than 7 feet tall, so if you think about the fact that I am 6 feet tall, that's another foot above me. Just one way they hope to try and prevent more people from being able to jump over and skip paying the fare. So take a look at a map that shows you all of the different locations that will be receiving gates in the months ahead. That includes stations in Richmond, Antioch, SFO, and Oakland's Fruitvale station. Here in the city, there are 4 stops, including Montgomery, Powell, Civic Center, and the 24th Street station. BART says this won't be able to stop all fare evasion, but the new gates will help to stop most of it. The difference will be a drop in maintenance costs for the agency while keeping stations cleaner and increasing revenue. Riders have shared here in San Francisco that they've seen people sneak through the gates many times, getting very close to the point that it's uncomfortable just so they can avoid paying the fare.
I think it's important. I think we can rely on public safety to do their part, but I understand that they're burdened with a lot of things in our community that they have to deal with. So I think that having another system of protection within the BART, right, to prevent fare evasion might be helpful.
So in addition to the new gates being taller, they will also have more advanced sensors. And right now they're using different materials at that first station to test the gates in West Oakland to figure out which ones will last longer. They also have to make sure that the sensors can handle the clipper card and there's less of a delay. But once they are ready to go, we will see those gates arriving at these new stations that have been listed in May or June. And then ultimately they want to have more than 700 plus gates throughout the system by the end of 2025. And there's an incentive to keep that plan, $300 million in state and regional subsidies if BART is able to meet it.
And still ahead, right here on CBS News Bay Area.
Not one cop in 30 minutes.
How this story is fueling the debate over new technology for police, an issue that's set to go before voters this March. Plus, we'll explain why a Bay Area city that has its own police department is spending money on private patrols. And it's becoming a challenge for former inmates to re-enter into society. How one program could be the blueprint for change.
These are the stories that inspire us.
This is where we're going to build all the bikes.
Connect us.
All right, guys.
Drive us. These are the stories that reveal our true character.
This is the most rewarding thing that I've ever done.
Told by those who believe in the power of community.
Oh my goodness.
Good to see you.
The kinds of stories you'll only see here.
Oh, man.
Our stories define us.
It's dry for us today throughout the Bay Area, but as we head into our weekend forecast, well, there's some big changes around the corner, and of course it has to do with rain. Early tomorrow morning, we're going to start seeing light drizzle move its way in from the north. We're going to see about 1/100 of an inch of rain fall initially, and then we gear up for heavier showers to move into the evening hours tomorrow night. At that point, we're going to see close to an inch up in the North Bay, about 1/4 of an inch fall down into the Santa Clara Valley, and we dry up as we head into our Sunday forecast.
Well, we're still 2 months out from San Francisco's primary elections, but the battle is already heating up over a public safety measure that many of you will be voting on. Proposition E would provide police with new crime-fighting tools. Lauren Toms heard from one father who says the changes are needed after a scary experience in his own neighborhood.
No license plate. No license plate. Not one in 30 minutes.
It's been 4 months since this frightening scene outside Jim Riley's house. He says he watched in fear as hundreds of motorcycles and ATVs whizzed by, and not a cop in sight.
You can't pursue, you can't use drones.
He's echoing concerns about police staffing shortages and access to technology that could help keep the city safe.
This would have been a perfect example of why they're needed and why they'd be a deterrent or a tool to capture bad guys.
Riley says officers didn't respond until the parade of vehicles had passed. He was on his own to protect his son with special needs.
He took his first steps on the sidewalk in front of our house. He learned to ride a two-wheeler in front of our house. And that has been our ultimate safe zone. And it was like taken away that day.
Stories like this are fueling a new debate over police tactics and police technology. Proposition E that goes before the voters in March could relax restrictions on police pursuits. It could also allow officers use of drones and give freedom for the department to install cameras at select intersections.
And it's just one more tool to kind of level the playing field.
Tracy McCrae heads the city's largest police union. She says officers are not only stretched thin across the city, but have also called for high-tech gear to ease their workload.
We need more tools. So when we feel a pursuit has crossed that threshold to be more dangerous than, maybe apprehending them at the time, it'd be nice if we could lift a drone up, right, and say, okay, they can follow.
But critics say the policy could overturn years of guardrails protecting citizens from surveillance and police misconduct.
This proposition isn't about whether police can use surveillance. They currently can if they have safety policies. This proposition rips those safety policies away and allows police to expand and deploy dangerous surveillance technologies and more easily be able to hide use of force incidents.
The ACLU argues Prop E could also reduce independent oversight of the police force. But for Riley, his priority is set on prevention, even if that means greater access for police.
I think we're at a point where we're living in a different world. This is a different city. This is a different neighborhood than it was previously.
Hopeful for a movement that could bring extra protections to his neighborhood.
Proposition E is also supported by Mayor London Breed. Let's take a closer look at what the proposition would exactly do. It would cut down on mandated paperwork for police. Supporters say that could free up more officers to patrol the streets. It would also allow police to use high-tech tools like drones and license plate readers. A more controversial component would loosen police policies on pursuits. And on Wednesday, new data presented to the police revealed that 57 out of the 150 pursuits SFPD was involved in ended in a crash. That's between 2018 and last August. 36 people were injured. And recently, 4 police officers were injured during a chase that ended in the crash in Bayview. That involved a suspect wanted in the killing of Oakland police officer Twan Lay. And last May, a 57-year-old man died and 4 others were hurt when a carjacking suspect fleeing from officers slammed into a bus stop. This happened in the Potrero Hill neighborhood. And a growing number of Bay Area communities and businesses have been relying more heavily on private security as opposed to police to keep them safe. In 2021, residents in San Francisco's Marina District were so fed up with constant car break-ins, some hired private security to patrol their streets. The city is even considering reviving the Patrol Special Squad, a for-hire private security service dating back to the gold rush. And this summer, we reported on PG&E crews hiring off-duty police officers to watch over their crews in Oakland because they were being targeted for their tools. And the city of Antioch just approved funding for private security because businesses have been asking for help. And as our Adriana Cano reports, it's not just to stop break-ins, it's to curb other crime, keeping people away from downtown.
Kathy Cabrera has lived in Antioch for the last 25 years. Just 4 years ago, she opened K911 Animal Rescue in the riverfront area.
We need the city to be safe again.
Cabrera says some of her fellow business owners have experienced burglaries. She adds sideshows are also a big problem in Antioch.
The sideshows get out of hand in the parking lot right next door to my building. Sometimes they get so loud and crazy. I'm afraid they're going to go through the wall.
City Council member Mike Barbanica has heard the cries from the community and pushed for private security guards to help patrol the downtown area.
And they're basically going to be down here as a deterrent and as of eyes and ears of the police department.
These will be unarmed guards tasked with overseeing the riverfront and the parking lots where some of the sideshows happen.
Nobody wants a security guard taking action on their own, but we want them to identify what the issues are and then take those issues to the police department through our dispatch center.
Abuelita's Peruvian restaurant just opened last November. Owner Ruth Zavaleta welcomes the extra patrols to make her customers feel safe.
This is very important for the people is coming the other areas.
This comes as roughly half of the officers with the Antioch Police Department were put on leave in connection with the racist and homophobic text scandal. Kathy Cabrera wants the bad cops to be punished, but feels what the city really needs is the police.
The police need to come back. They need to bring the police officers that have been cleared, that are still on paid administrative leave, they need to put them back to work. They need to come help us keep this community safe, because one security guard's not going to do it.
And still ahead, getting out of prison is just the first step in a very difficult journey for former inmates. And where they end up living can have a huge impact on whether they wind up back in jail. That's where people like this couple come in.
The people who are out really don't want to go back, and they are so hardworking and loyal and just grateful.
The people opening their homes to give former inmates a fresh start. And a reminder, you can stream CBS News Bay Area wherever, whenever. Catch all of our live newscasts plus news and weather updates throughout the day. Find us on the free CBS News app or on Pluto TV.
This is Pix Plus. More of what you want, more often. More local news in the morning and the primetime edition. The only 8 and 9 p.m. news. With Devin Feely, Elizabeth Cook, Juliette Goodrich, and Sarah Donchi. Groundbreaking original storytelling from the KPIX newsroom. Plus Bear Politics, Project Earth, and weather like you've never seen. The primetime edition. Weeknights on the new Pix Plus. 44 Cable 12.
Daytime highs today throughout the Bay Area are all sitting in the 50s. It's a cool, mild start to the beginning of this weekend, but we have some rain in the forecast as early as tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Today, we're sitting in the upper 50s near San Jose, low 50s near Livermore. And as we take a look at the radar today, there's not a lot of activity to talk about, but watch what happens as we extend the clock all the way into the early morning hours tomorrow. Light rain moves its way in as a cold front pushes in from the north. We're going to start seeing light drizzle just in those early morning hours. 9, 10 a.m. Light showers sweeping down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're going to catch a break just around lunchtime as we gear up for heavier rain to move in into the evening hours tomorrow night. Now this amounts close to around an inch up in the North Bay, about 1/4 of an inch down into the Santa Clara Valley, and then we dry up as we head into our Sunday forecast.
Well, there's a lot of debate over whether the prison system gives people a chance at a fresh start or sets them up for failure. One huge hurdle for ex-inmates is where to go when they get out. The State Department of Corrections says more than 60% of inmates released from California prisons will reoffend within 3 years. But as Itai Hodge shows us, a new program aims to give former prisoners a chance to get some firm footing in the outside world through the generosity of strangers, bringing them in to their own homes.
For 17 years, Margus Crowell spent his days staring at a concrete wall.
Do you just want this on the bed? Or?
Now, he has his own room and his own window and a whole new view on life.
I sat in a 6x9 cell that didn't have a window, and there was no view to look at.
In 2006, he was convicted of burglary on top of prior convictions. While in prison, he turned his life around and was ultimately granted parole. He figured he'd go to a transitional home, but then he heard of the Homecoming Project.
Want to do the pot or do you want to do a pour over?
Which matches homeowners who have a spare room with former inmates.
This is beautiful.
Margus was paired with Tamiko Panzella and her boyfriend Joe Klein, who have a 2-bedroom apartment in Albany.
I think what a lot of people don't understand is how difficult it is to get out of prison. So the people who are out really don't want to go back, and they are so hardworking and loyal and just grateful. Smoke filters are on the right.
Hosts receive a stipend of $45 a day, which comes out to be about $1,400 a month.
Goes on top.
All participants are carefully vetted by the organization.
People who've been incarcerated are 10 times more likely to be homeless.
Bernadette Butler is the director of the Homecoming Project. She says 100% of participants graduate the program with affordable housing. 95% end up with a job. Most importantly, none have gone back to prison.
The Homecoming Project is about humanizing everyone, and it's about folks who are in the community who say, I have a spare room and I want to do something to help people who need a hand up.
Margus not only has his own room, but his own desk and a closet. He also has his own bathroom for the first time in 2 decades.
When you don't have to share it with 12 other people, and it's a good thing.
The best part? He no longer has to settle for instant coffee or even plain milk.
Oh man, that is good.
So the gray one is to get into the building.
Now he has his own set of keys.
1, 2, 3.
Along with a new lease on life.
And if you want to know more about the Homecoming Project, just go to our website at kpix.com. Coming up in our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, they are veterans and they've struggled with housing, but now they found a new home on Treasure Island. A closer look at the plans to transform a neighborhood. And it's worse than carbon dioxide as far as greenhouse gases go, but have scientists found a way to tame methane? Details ahead in today's Project Earth report.
These are your neighborhoods. This is your world. CBS News Bay Area.
Still ahead on KPIX.
With Juliette Goodrich. And the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell. Taking you to the day's top stories. Smart, comprehensive coverage. And immersive weather like you have never seen it. Join Juliette Goodrich and Nora O'Donnell. Weeknight, 6 to 7:30 on KPIX.
I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute. BART is expanding its installation of new fare gates to 8 more locations across the Bay Area. The goal of the new gates is to stop fare evasion. The expansion comes after BART began testing the new gates at the West Oakland BART station late last year. Sacramento lawmakers advanced a bill to ban tackle football for kids under 12. The bill passed the committee stage and is now on to the state assembly. The measure is aimed at preventing brain injuries to young people while they are still in the development stage. Celebrity TikTok food reviewer Keith Lee ended his trip to the Bay Area earlier than expected. He listed unsafe conditions, disappointing food, and allergic reaction for his departure. Lee is a mixed martial arts fighter from Detroit who posts food reviews. I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and this is The Minute.
It's Friday, and here in the Bay Area, we're dealing with dry conditions to kick off this weekend, but it's going to change really fast as we head into the next couple days. Tonight, heading into the early morning hours tomorrow, these partly cloudy skies that we have right now and these light winds, it's going to get a lot breezier as we have a cold front move its way in, bringing us light showers in the early morning hours and some heavier rain into the afternoon hours. This is around 3 o'clock. We catch a little bit of a break before we gear up for more heavy rain moving its way in into those late evening hours for Saturday. Luckily, we dry up fast as we head into Sunday, but that exact same system that's bringing in all that rain for our forecast tomorrow, it's also bringing in plenty of snow for our friends up in the Sierra Tahoe area, and that's going to last all throughout our Saturday forecast heading into those overnight hours too. They could see anywhere up to around 1 to 2 feet of snow up in those regions. And it's worth mentioning, if you are thinking of heading up there for the long weekend, they are under a winter storm warning until Sunday, actually, at 4 a.m. So lots to talk about when it comes to the Sierra region. But back here in the Bay, our local areas, we're just dealing with 50s today, tomorrow, heading into this weekend, despite the rain that's moving its way in tomorrow. We're going to dry up as we head into Sunday, and we're left with cool temperatures as we kick off next work week. Let's actually talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to put the map down, and I'm going to show you the next 7 days. As we head into the next 7 days, we're not done with the rain just yet. Yes, we have it tomorrow, and then it dies down, but we gear up for more rain as we head into mid-next week, as early as Wednesday, with 60s in the forecast at that point. Let me drop our inland forecast and show you what it's looking like along the bay. For our friends who live near Daly City, San Francisco, or even across the Bay Bridge over into Oakland, we're going to see 50s holding on tight to early next week. Foggier conditions around the corner as we gear up for more rain by mid-next week.
Well, major changes are on the way for the short-term rental market in Marin. County supervisors have approved a plan to cap vacation rentals. The plan will limit the number of short-term rentals in some communities, including popular tourist spots, and exclude them from some areas. The goal is to increase housing options for long-term renters and locals. The city of San Francisco has been dealt another blow in its effort to overturn a ruling limiting its ability to sweep homeless encampments. At the heart of the case is a 2018 ruling that prevents cities from making it a crime to sleep on public streets when no shelter is available. Well, yesterday's ruling upholds an earlier injunction that found that San Francisco's rules allow for just that kind of crackdown. It comes from the 9th U.S. Circuit of Court Appeals. One dissenting judge said the ruling goes too far in dictating how San Francisco manages its sidewalks. Governor Gavin Newsom responded, saying this is the latest action by the court offers a troubling invitation to continue litigation that will hamper efforts to address encampments and provide people with the resources they need. In the meantime, city officials are celebrating new figures that show a 22% increase in the number of people connected to shelter and housing. In total, the city says that its teams helped more than 1,500 people move from encampment into shelters. And if you've driven by Treasure Island recently, you may have noticed the changing skyline with high-rises springing up. A new neighborhood is emerging with more than 8,000 housing units on Yerba Buena and Treasure Island. And it's not just pricey condos. A decades-long effort to build affordable housing is finally becoming a reality. Our Kenny Choi introduces us to some of its new residents.
Regina Record lived in her van in San Francisco not long ago, but the veteran has finally found a place to call home.
Treasure Island didn't used to be like this, and I could feel the change, with all the construction going on.
She's one of the tenants in the newly opened Maceo May apartment complex dedicated to veterans and their families. It sits just across the street from former military housing units that will eventually be demolished in the years to come.
There seems to be like a lot of housing, but it's so old, you know. So this is really refreshing to have a brand new building here.
As multi-million-dollar high-rise condos steadily emerge, so do the below market and units deemed affordable. More than 18,000 residents will occupy some 8,000 homes being built on Yerba Buena and Treasure Islands. About 1/4 of those will be affordable units, like the ones at Maceo May for vets.
It feels like I'm in a suburb of San Francisco.
Derek Cummings is also a veteran. He served in the Army for 3 years, but also experienced living on the streets for nearly a year in the Tenderloin.
It's starting to get populated and be a nice neighborhood.
Nela Goncalves is with One Treasure Island, a nonprofit focused on helping lower-income households and those who have experienced homelessness.
Right now, it's a mixed income community, and our goal is to continue to make it a mixed income community, you know, where folks feel inclusive and it's equitable.
Goncalves says development of the 8,000 units is expected to be completed by 2036 if all goes according to plan, including the demolition of all the aging military housing on the island.
All of the housing is being moved up to the front of the island. So once it's demolished, it will be redeveloped, but there won't be housing in that area anymore.
That part of the island will be developed into public parks and spaces. For residents like Regina Record, it's starting to feel a lot like home.
I don't ever want to move. I don't plan to move ever.
It's a place the veteran deserves in a city she loves.
And daily ferry service from San Francisco to Treasure Island is now up and running in addition to multiple bus routes. The nonprofit One Treasure Island says in the next 3 to 5 years, it expects 1,200 new affordable and market rate homes to be built. Where after falling for 2 months, a new report shows inflation is back on the rise. Overall, annual prices rose 3.4% in December, up from 3.1% in November. Energy prices helped drive that increase, and so did the cost of rent, which was up 6.2%. Analysts say after looking at the new data, they expect the Federal Reserve will once again leave interest rates unchanged at the end of the month. However, hopes of a rate cut this spring are fading.
I think that unless the data improve dramatically, where we see a real pushing down of the inflation rate, I think it's much more unlikely that the Fed will act and that they will keep rates at this same level.
It's news crab fishermen in the Bay Area have been waiting for. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife announced commercial Dungeness crab fishing season can begin this coming Thursday. Fishermen can go out to catch crab between Sonoma and Mendocino County line and the U.S.-Mexico border. The season was delayed to protect migrating humpback whales who could get caught in those traps, but the news does come with a big caveat. There's now a 50% reduction in the number of crab traps that can be deployed. And it's not just excess carbon dioxide that's overheating the planet. A second gas that actually is more potent than CO2, called methane, is also a major cause of climate change. In today's Project Earth, our Sarah Donchi looks at a Bay Area startup with a clever strategy to put methane or pull methane out of the air and in the process turn it into a rich fertilizer.
Each year, every cow on the planet will belch a lot of methane, but they're not the only culprits.
Part of the challenge with methane is it does come from everywhere.
Josh Silverman is CEO of Windfall Bio, a startup located in Menlo Park. He explains methane emissions also come from coal, oil, and gas production, wastewater treatment plants, and landfills.
So any place that you have organic material that is breaking down, degrading, rotting, it produces methane as a byproduct.
Methane is a big problem. It's actually more potent than carbon dioxide.
Methane not only warms the atmosphere more, but it also warms it much faster.
This vial may hold the key. The liquid contains methane-eating microbes, usually found in soil. They pull methane out of the air. By eating it, the microbes then transform a climate-harming gas into a beneficial product. In this case, an organic fertilizer.
The microbes are at the heart of what we do.
Carla Risso is the director of microbiology. She says these soil microbes have dramatically declined around the world. Here at Windfall Bio, they're being nurtured, nourished, and cultivated.
Basically, we know what they like, and we give it to them. So they will multiply and make tons more.
This concept, this technology is really amazing.
I got really excited, immediately decided to enter this field.
Bioengineers Kaifeng Chen and Aram Balian are conducting experiments with the microbes to optimize their diet and cultivation.
The fact that nature just produces this, it's out there, and we're seeing that they're diminishing. I want to make it my job to try to restore that population in the soils.
We do see methane consumption, and our microbes are growing. The other side of this product is they also enhance their biomass. In the future, we could apply that on the field as fertilizer.
The idea is to provide the microbes where the methane is created on farms, cattle ranches, landfills, water treatment plants, and the fossil fuel industry. The microbes will be freeze-dried and then resuscitated with liquid nutrients before being applied to the land.
Then they should come back alive, and then that's how they can do their jobs.
Judy Sue is director of biology.
The application can reduce the methane, how it can help our planet, our soil health, our environment.
Methane is a very big deal.
Former U.S. Secretary of Energy and Stanford professor Dr. Stephen Chu is now advising the scientists at Windfall Bio. He believes their strategy makes a lot of sense.
Why not capture it before it gets diluted, capture it, prevent its release, turn it into an energy source, which seemed to be a really good approach.
As for the scientists, they too want to make a difference.
We need to focus on technology solutions that work.
I choose to believe there is hope.
Being in this job, it gives me optimism every day because I see how many exciting technologies, how many exciting companies are coming up just like our own, and really trying to make it their mission to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the future and have this world be livable for our kids.
In this case, all thanks to some mighty microbes.
Up next, the Niners are doing everything they can to stay sharp. How they're getting competitive with each other with a bye in the first round of the playoffs.
Your late night is getting a whole lot better for two reasons. Sarah and Stephen. The Late News with Sarah Donchie. Then The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Back with all new episodes.
Really?
These are two shows you'll want to spend the night with.
Then go to sleep knowing you won at TV. What?
Record it, stream it, watch it live. The Late News and the all-new Late Show. Weeknights starting at 11 on KPIX.
It's dry for us today throughout the Bay Area, but as we head into our weekend forecast, well, there's some big changes around the corner, and of course it has to do with rain. Early tomorrow morning, we're going to start seeing light drizzle move its way in from the north. We're going to see about 1/100 of an inch of rain fall initially, and then we gear up for heavier showers to move into the evening hours tomorrow night. At that point, we're going to see close to an inch up in the North Bay, about 1/4 of an inch fall down into the Santa Clara Valley, and we dry up as we head into our Sunday forecast.
Christian McCaffrey was named the NFL's Player of the Month for December, but he's hoping to have an even better January. Sports Director Vern Glenn has more on the Niners.
This is the Volkswagen Red and Gold Report.
It was business as usual for the 49ers, with one exception. They don't know who they will be playing in the divisional round.
What are you guys doing here? It's a bye week. Yeah, what are you guys going to talk about?
Here's something to talk about. Eric Armstead back on the field. He's on track to return after missing the last 5 games. 49ers got after it in practice on Thursday. Which side of the ball fared better? Well, it depends on who you ask.
Today was definitely a full speed day. Guys flying around, guys competing. Offense definitely competed better today than the defense.
Those offensive guys, boy, I'll tell you what, we won today. So let's not get that misunderstood. Defense won today. I'm always trying to stir the pot. I'm always trying to get the juices going. You know, before practice starts, you start planting seeds, you know, in each guy. Hey, Brandon, we're going to see, you know, George, I don't know. Brock, you've been away for a while, I don't know. It's planting seeds, man, you know, and then that's how you create that competitive atmosphere.
With a Red and Gold Report, I'm Vern Glenn.
And coming up, we'll introduce you to the man known as the godfather of roller skating and show you his enthusiasm for the sport that has inspired Bay Area residents across generations.
I would like to see the headlines that the national press picks up on and say, look, there's another side to the Bay Area.
We take those headlines a little step further to sort of connect all these wonderful communities here.
Really embracing the positivity and hopefully spreading it.
The Bay Area is full of some amazing, innovative change makers.
People that are out there making a difference.
In fact, I feel privileged that I get to share those stories.
Wake up with the Morning Edition, weekdays on KPIX.
Daytime highs today throughout the Bay Area are all sitting in the 50s. It's a cool, mild start to the beginning of this weekend, but we have some rain in the forecast as early as tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Today, we're sitting in the upper 50s near San Jose, low 50s near Livermore. And as we take a look at the radar today, there's not a lot of activity to talk about, but watch what happens as we extend the clock all the way into the early morning hours tomorrow. Light rain moves its way in as a cold front pushes in from the north. We're going to start seeing light drizzle just in those early morning hours. 9, 10 a.m. Light showers sweeping down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're going to catch a break just around lunchtime as we gear up for heavier rain to move in into the evening hours tomorrow night. Now this amounts close to around an inch up in the North Bay, about 1/4 of an inch down into the Santa Clara Valley, and then we dry up as we head into our Sunday forecast.
Well, he's known as the godfather of roller skating in San Francisco with a passion for the sport spanning 45 years. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's Bay Area Jefferson Award winner.
You'll often find David Miles Jr. in Golden Gate Park doing what he loves most.
It makes me feel great. Yeah, it makes me feel alive.
David, also known as D, says his passion for roller skating ignited decades ago when he got off the bus from Kansas City and discovered people skating at San Francisco's iconic park.
This energy here, this just being here, it was just fantastic. I love it. I've always wanted to keep that alive.
So he spun into action, dedicating his life to promoting the sport for the last 45 years. He owns the Church of 8 Wheels, an abandoned church in the Lower Haight where he's taught skating for 10 years. His business pays for the community work he provides for free. He started the Volunteer Skate Patrol in 1979 to monitor and help skaters in Golden Gate Park. He's fought against a proposed ban on roller skating in the park, and he succeeded in getting a section of 6th Avenue near Fulton closed to car traffic for skating. His weekly events at the park include Friday night skates that started during COVID. The gatherings draw neighbors together and even brought Mayor London Breed.
I did not know a soul when I first came, but through roller skating, I have an entire family of people. And I think that this is the kind of thing that people want in San Francisco. I think that people want this all over the world.
Chris Duderstadt donated the park benches at the skating space. He's inspired by Dee's commitment.
He's just a giving soul. He's the heart and soul of skating in the city, truthfully.
Outside Golden Gate Park, Dee's partnered with the city to bring San Fran Disco roller skating days at Civic Center. In addition, his skate-a-thons have raised money for muscular dystrophy and world hunger. And for years, he set up pop-up rinks for events as far away as Burning Man. At age 67, Dee continues to spread his religion on wheels.
I'm probably the luckiest person who never won a lottery, because San Francisco has just embraced me, it's hugged me, and it has let me be able to share with other people.
So for his decades-long advocacy of roller skating that's brought the community together, this week's Jefferson Award in the Bay Area goes to David D. Miles Jr.
And D is one of the few African Americans who owns a roller skating rink in the U.S. He runs it with his wife and 3 children. And you can nominate your local hero for a Jefferson Award online at kpix.com/hero. Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories. Ryan Yamamoto. This is the minute. Police say 2 people were killed in a car crash in Richmond today. From our chopper, it looks like this car slammed into a tree and split in half. This is near Florida Avenue and Carson Boulevard. Police say speed appears to be a factor. Well, a suspect is in custody after a car crash near the Oakland Coliseum. That suspect smashed into a pylon supporting the BART airport extension last night. It all happened after a pursuit that involved Fremont police. It's unclear why they were initially chasing that suspect. And the long-delayed commercial crab season is finally set to open January 18th. Fishermen can go out to catch crab from the Sonoma-Mendocino County line all the way to the U.S.-Mexico border. But there's a catch. Fishermen can only put out 50% of their traps, at least for now. I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and this is The Minute.
It's Friday, and here in the Bay Area, we're dealing with dry conditions to kick off this weekend, but it's going to change really fast as we head into the next couple days. Tonight, heading into the early morning hours tomorrow, these partly cloudy skies that we have right now and these light winds, it's going to get a lot breezier as we have a cold front move its way in, bringing us light showers in the early morning hours and some heavier rain into the afternoon hours. This is around 3 o'clock. We catch a little bit of a break before we gear up for more heavy rain moving its way in into those late evening hours for Saturday. Luckily, we dry up fast as we head into Sunday, but that exact same system that's bringing in all that rain for our forecast tomorrow, it's also bringing in plenty of snow for